Hello and welcome everybody to another virtualinstructor.com lesson. Today we're going to be drawing an apple using colored pencils. And as you can see here, we're just going to lay out the apple first and draw it lightly. I'm using a dark brown colored pencil. I would encourage students to not use a black colored pencil. Black kind of tends to make things look flat and can take away from the realism of the image. Once we've got the apple laid out, we want to think about our light source. So in the corner I'm just going to draw a little shape here to indicate our light source. Looks somewhat like a light, and then I'll put some lines out to indicate the light. I'm also going to have this apple sitting on a table, so I'm going to draw a line to indicate that table. First thing I'm going to do, sticking with my brown, is I'm just going to put in an indication of what the shadow is going to be, where the shadow is going to be, and it's going to be on the left side of the apple, the opposite side from the light source. I want my apple to look like it has the illusion of form. So to do that, I'm going to make sure that I have a gradation of value from the left side to the right. I also want to remember that an apple has a little indentation at the top, so I'm going to let my value, my darker value, stay there. Also going to drop a little bit of a shadow to indicate where that light is coming from as well. Then I'm going to take the basic color that my apple is going to be, and it's going to be a red apple, so I'm going to start with kind of a dark red colored pencil, and I'm going to start coloring right over the top of my shadowed areas. Now this is one of the things you want to keep in mind when you're using your colored pencils. You want to make sure that you really layer the colors, really build up the color. What we're going for here is an appearance of a pretty solid surface. So we'll slowly layer the colors, build them up, and eventually the color will look heavy. So you want to layer your colors and color heavy. Those are two of the tips that I've suggested here when you're using colored pencils. So I'm keeping with the red. I'm keeping sure that I apply the red a little less heavy on the side that the light source is coming from. That's because I'm planning on going back with some white and some yellows and greens and other colors, and I don't want to cover it up heavy to start with. I want to build up that heavy appearance. So that's why I'm putting light layers of the colored pencil on the paper. So cover the whole surface with the red here, and then I'm ready to go with a lighter red, and I'm going to start on the side with where my light source is coming from with that lighter red, and I'm slowly building up how heavy I apply the colored pencil to the surface. Here I'm starting to get a little heavier with the colored pencil, keeping in mind that I want my finished image to look very solid and heavy. And there we go. Now I'm going back with that dark brown. I'm going to indicate where the stem is before I go too far. If you go too far, it's going to be a little bit difficult to go back over what you've already done. So since I didn't draw the stem in the beginning, I'll go back and add that. And then I'm going to make some of my darker values a little bit darker by going back over with the dark brown. It may look like I'm using a black, but it's a dark brown. In fact, if you want to create a black, the best way to create a natural black is to use a dark brown and to use a dark blue. And you'll see me use that a lot, that color combination a lot in these videos. Finding a little bit more where the edge of the apple is and slowly building up that value. One of the tips for using colored pencils, again, is to take your time. Colored pencils is a medium that does take a bit of time when done correctly. So you have to be patient. Here I'm going to add a little bit of yellow-green color to the middle part of the apple. Make it look a little bit more natural. Got to pay attention to all the subtle colors and changes in colors when you're looking at an object to draw it. There's also yellow in the apple, so I'm going to add a little bit of yellow over the top. By adding these different colors, what I'm doing is I'm creating a more complex look about the apple. I'm making the colors look a little bit more like they look in reality. And I'm also being careful to make sure that I don't cover the areas that I plan on highlighting in just a few moments. Going back over with the red now, At this point I can start to get a little heavier with my application of color. Some of those darker values will show through, and that's just what I want to happen. You might also notice that I'm going in the direction of the cross contours of the apple. I'm not going side to side or just haphazardly. I'm thinking about the form of the apple as I'm making my strokes with the colored pencil. That will also aid in the realistic qualities of your drawing. Going back over it a little bit with more of the dark brown. Layer after layer, that's the key to drawing with colored pencils. Go ahead and color in my stem now. That can be a nice solid color. And this is going to bring us to the end of part 1. Be sure to check out part 2. The apple will really come to life.